Good afternoon. Today is February 17th of 2023. My name is Stephen Herwire. I'm the owner of Herwire Financial, Plans with Direction. After the disclosures and the market roundup, we are going to be talking about which door do you want to go through at retirement. Opinions voiced in this material are for general information only, not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Any performance references historical, no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested in directly. All data is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no representation is made as to its completeness or accuracy. None of this is to be construed as tax or legal advice. Consult your advisor prior to taking any action. Illustrations shown here are hypothetical and do not reflect any investment or investment strategy. Last night, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at 33,696.85. Year to date, it is up 1.43%. S&P 500 closed at 4,090.41. Year to date, it is up 6.53%. NASDAQ 100 closed at 12,442. 0.481 year to date, it is up 15%. Gold closed at $1,846.30 per ounce. Year to date, it is up a little over 1.25%. Bitcoin index closed at 24,528.93, up over 48% for the year. US dollar index closed at 104.02. Year to date is up a little bit more than 0.5%. 10-year Treasury closed at 3.86%. Year to date, it is down 0.02% from its start at 3.88. S&P aggregate bond index closed at 197.08. Year to date, it is up 1%. When you get to retirement, there's two possible doors you can get through. And anybody who remembers the old Let's Make a Deal show with Monty Hall, he would ask you, which door do you want to pick? Well, here's the thing. When you get to retirement, you don't get to pick. You're picking right now. Door number one, you run out of money before you run out of life. Door number two, you don't run out of money before you run out of life. You are making the choice about which door to go through every working day. And door number one is the default door. Sooner you start preparing, the easier it is. Saving early, even if it's a small amount, may have dramatic differences. Doing nothing is not likely to end well. What matters most is when you start. In your 20s, your path to door two is a slight incline. By your 30s, it's a staircase. By your 40s, it's a ladder. By your 50s, it becomes climbing a rope against a mountain. And once you get to your 60s, it's a sheer cliff face, if you can even make it up at all. What do you need to do to get to those doors? Door number one, like I said, it's the default. And all you got to do is do nothing. Just wait. Do your job. Enjoy life. Not to say you won't enjoy life if you take the steps to go to door two, just maybe a little bit less. Save early, save often. Make sure you have the right amount of life and disability insurance. I'm not going to talk about those today, just they're important. The good news is we have decades to save for retirement. The bad news is we have decades to save for retirement. The sooner you get started, the more likely you'll get to retire in a manner and time of your choosing. So I'm going to ask a hypothetical question. Suppose there was a bank that for every dollar you deposited up to a certain amount each year, your employer would add $1. How much would you put in that account? More on this later, but get in the habit of saving as soon as possible. Okay. Time is your friend when you're young. Imagine your retirement needs being that big weight on the right. Okay, when you're in your 20s, just out of trade school, engineering school, law school, whatever, if you start adding weights, i.e. saving for retirement, then even in small amounts, it'll have a much greater effect if you wait till all your college loans are paid off, you've had all the kids, they're out of the house. When you reach 60, it starts to get, the weights you add don't have nearly as much effect. So save early, save often. The more weights you add early on, the more likely it is you'll get to choose your desired retirement age. Those who fail to add sufficient weights along their trip down the lever will likely be faced with two choices. One, a shorter retirement, which means you work longer, and there exists the possibility that may not be possible for you even if you want to. Or reducing your retirement standard of living. Instead of having golden years, having bronze or tin years. So I'm going to talk about three brothers. They're all triplets, and Earl, Harry, and Larry. Now, they all graduated from the same trade school at the same time, went to work for the same company. Now, early Earl knew the importance of saving for retirement. He says, I'm going to put $2,000 a year in. Beginning at age 21. At age 27, he says, that's it, I'm done. His brother Harry decided he wanted to have a good time for those first 6 years. So around 27, he starts thinking, maybe it's a good idea that I stick some money in retirement. So he starts putting $2,000 a year every year until he turns 65. Now, let's assume they invested in similar places. And keep in mind, for all of these illustrations, it assumes straight line interest occurring, which means you get the exact same amount or percentage-wise of return every year. Okay, this is not going to happen in the stock market. This is just to illustrate the importance of time. So, early Earl, if he only gets 6%, at age 65, he'll have $143,000. His brother Harry will have $307,000, more than twice as much. However, if they both get 8%, Earl walks away with $318,000, and Harry ends up with over $500,000. Now, Earl only had to stick $12,000 in. Harry had to put $78,000 in. The big difference, time. That extra 6 years made a big difference. Now, the third brother, Larry, he got married right out of college, and he had to put a family together, buy the new house, and he's late at starting to save for retirement. He starts putting $2,000 a year in at 31, and he saves all the way to age 65. Now, he didn't stick as much as Harry did, but he still stuck more in than Earl. Now, if he gets the same 6% that Earl gets, at 65, he'll still have more money than Earl by about a little bit more than, somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000. But that's if he gets 6%. If he gets 8%, he will have $372,000. That's barely $50,000 more. And he had to put in $70,000. Again, the difference is time. That 6 years made a big difference. So let's just say, suppose early Earl had continued saving. He put a total of $90,000 in between 21 and 65. If he got 6%, he'd have $451,000. If he earned 8%, he'd have $834,000. Now, you think about this, it's not that much. By continuing to sacrifice a little bit each week, maybe eating out less, one less time a week, then he can make a real impact on his later years where he doesn't want to work, or maybe he can't work. It's less painful than you think. Now, when I'm talking about this, I'm going to ignore the Roth option for any retirements. I'm going to assume everything is tax, has an effect on your taxes now, like a simple IRA now and a 401k. So for every dollar you put in either of these, you don't lose a dollar of spending money. You say, how can that be? Well, when the folks that are doing the withholding for you, they look at how much taxable income you have. So if you put $10 a week into your simple IRA or your 401k, they won't see that $10 for withholding purposes. So it's likely you'll have a reduction in your spending money of somewhere between $6 and $8 a week in this hypothetical example. To make it even better, in many cases, your employer will be adding a few dollars, matching your funds in the same account. So you sacrifice $6 to $8 of spending money, and you may end up with up to 20, at least until you reach the max match. So are you leaving money on the table? The apocryphal bank I mentioned earlier, it's your employer. This is where your employer wants to contribute to your retirement. He wants to make you maximize the chances you retire in a manner and time of your choosing. So, number one, always get the free money. Don't invest with me until you're getting the free money. Another reason people hesitate is they're unsure about which funds to pick. Don't let that stop you. Start the program, start getting the free money, and then see somebody like me to help you make sure you got the right ones. If you got the wrong ones, it's not a big deal. If we don't wait too long, it can be easily corrected. But the important thing is to get those matching funds. How to reach me? Go to herwirefinancial.com. In the upper right-hand corner is the schedule an appointment button. I do Zoom, I do in-person, I do phone appointments. By the way, I am licensed and registered in several states. You can set the appointment, we can chat, and if it seems like we can both do business, I can get registered and licensed in your state if it's appropriate. If not, there's no cost to talk to me. You can see videos like this on YouTube by pressing that red YouTube button. And please invite your friends. You can like and follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. And for those that prefer to use the phone, my phone number is 518-631-2569. And an announcement next week on the 24th, there will not be a Facebook Live. I will see you guys in March. Again, no Facebook Live on February 24th. See you in March. Have a terrific weekend.